Imagine this. You build your product on no code. First users come in, metrics look decent, maybe an investor or a serious client starts paying attention. Everything feels like it's working. Then you add two new features, hook up one more integration, and suddenly the whole thing slows down. Requests start hanging. Your monthly bill keeps climbing. And the worst part, you can't make quick changes anymore because the data is already scattered everywhere like a damn mess. I've seen this exact story dozens of times, and it rarely costs 5 or 10,000 to fix. It usually costs 3 to 500,000 in lost time, lost momentum, and lost money when you finally have to rebuild or watch the product slowly die while it almost works. Hi, I'm Anastasia. I work as a product architect with no code and AI systems. Founders call me when the idea is already there, the product is taking shape, but real friction hits and they realize something underneath is off. I learned this the hard way myself. When I first started with no code, I made the same mistakes. I thought it's just data, it'll sort itself out later. It never does. That's why I now spot the pattern immediately when I step into new projects. Today, I'm talking about the hidden mistake most no code founders make with data architecture, the one that quietly turns a promising product into a very expensive lesson. It's not about choosing the wrong tool. Adalo, Airtable, Xano, any of them can work. The real problem is how you structure your data from day one. Most founders start the same innocent way. Let's just make a users table and an orders table and we're good. Sounds logical. At 100 users, it even runs fine. At 1,000, you already have duplicates, hidden connections, workflows firing 15 extra queries. And when real traction hits, every change becomes a gamble. Will you break old data or not? I call this flat thinking about data. You're thinking in screens and workflows. You should be thinking in boundaries, data ownership, and how this information needs to live and evolve in 12 to 18 months. Here's where it actually breaks. First mistake, throwing everything into one database with no clear boundaries. User profiles, payments, content, analytics, settings, all mixed together. Second mistake, duplicating data instead of keeping it clean. User email lives in 5 different places, name in 3, subscription status somewhere in Airtable, somewhere in a Stripe webhook, somewhere in your workflow. One small change and everything gets out of sync. Support wastes hours chasing why a user's status didn't update. Third mistake, treating core data and derived data the same. Core data is what your product actually runs on and what defines your business logic. Derived data, you can calculate when you need it. Most founders store both exactly the same way. The database gets fat, and every logic change risks breaking calculations you forgot even existed. Fourth, and the most expensive mistake, ignoring data migrations and versioning from the start. You tell yourself, we're still small, we'll fix it later. Then you wake up with 50,000 records, and any structural change means downtime, ugly scripts, or accepting that some old data will live by old rules forever. That's the moment your product starts costing you more than it makes. I usually get called in when the founder already feels something is wrong, but can't name it. And almost every single time, the picture is identical. Nice interface on top, but underneath, the data has zero real architecture. No ownership, no boundaries between domains, no plan for how it should evolve with the product. The result is predictable. You either pay serious developer money to rebuild what you quickly threw together on no code, or you slow everything down because every new change feels dangerous, or you quietly lose users who don't understand why the app suddenly became slow and buggy. So don't start with the interface. Don't start with what tables do I need. Start with 3 real questions. 1, what data is truly core to my business and needs to live reliably for the long term? 2, where are the boundaries between different parts of the product? Which data belongs only to one domain and which can be shared? 3, how do I want this data to behave in a year when I have 10 times more users? Answer these before you create the first table, and you're already ahead of 90% of no code founders. Tools are secondary. You can start in Adalo. But you need to know exactly where the exit points are when, not if, you need to grow beyond it. You can go hybrid from day one. Just stop lying to yourself that no code means the data will always stay simple. This mistake doesn't look dramatic on day one. It grows quietly with your product, and by the time you notice it, cheap fixes are usually gone. If you're right now in the phase where the idea is clear, the MVP is coming together or already live, but you're starting to feel the data has a life of its own, stop. Look at the architecture before it starts costing you real money. I'm not giving you a checklist or the right way. I'm showing you where most founders are already bleeding time and serious cash because they only see the surface. If you want, drop in the comments what stage you're at with data in your product. Sometimes one outside look is enough to spot where the future problem is already being baked in. One more thing before you go. If you're already dealing with messy data and thinking about migrations, here's the reality. Typical no-code migrations usually look like moving from a flat Adalo setup into a proper backend with clean boundaries, Xano, Supabase, or even custom code for the core. I've done a few of those. They're expensive and slow if you didn't plan the exit points early. I've also seen clean no-code architectures that actually scale. Want me to show concrete examples of both the bad migrations and the ones that worked? Or maybe break down how to answer those 3 questions for your specific product? Drop a comment with the word migration or example and tell me where you are right now with your data. I read every comment. See you in the next one.